The streaming software or the scoreboard? Scoreboard is something I made. It's a program that's called 41 Engine, something I made. And the streaming is called Phoenix.
Thank you. Thank you for coming out. Giving your time. How many years my third flag?
I'll be the last one.
There you go. I'm taking it easy. I live in one town, Long Island. So it's it normally takes me an hour and 10 minutes to get here, an hour and 5 minutes, but that's for me. One piece. I mean, I left my house at like 10:10, and I still got here. I left at 10:10. I actually got here at 40 minutes. I was shocked. People traffic is Pascal, are you ready?
2 minutes.
You let us know.
Yeah, like 2 minutes, not even.
I want to hit the bathroom real quick. That's good. It's your wallet. Just put it over
Yeah,
here.
it's not a good idea to leave that
Yeah,
there.
yeah, just have a seat. I'm gonna be here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit the head real quick. I'll be right
Hey, maybe you can mention that today Karen Cafe, they're having the Adam Farm Memorial.
Why don't we get you on the mic? I was stupid. I should have got you on the mic yesterday, but
Yeah, it was going to be the Adam Farm Memorial today at Karen Cafe to honor him. He passed away last year at age 36.
yeah.
All the 7 diamonds at cancer, but in 3 months he was gone.
We'll throw you on if you can get on the camera and just announce those things, and then announce the thing tomorrow too,
Yeah, the players brawl.
and then announce the final.
Yeah, the winner of this plays Monday, yeah. You're streaming your final Monday, right? Oh, you can do that. Yeah, I'll wait 2 weeks for the break or something. Thank you for playing today, brother. You will know it's kind of difficult. I think your son felt better when he told you that it was just practice and not an actual game.
I'm free up with that, exactly.
Yeah.
So, as it turned out, on yesterday morning, I was looking ready to work. So he was off school. So it's now, we said, you know what?
Was he off school because they can allow him back in because he flew out? The reason I'm asking is because my son flew out on Thursday and he was allowed to go back to school on Friday because of it, because they have a stomach bug going on. And if they do that, it would be a violation of the school if the health department were to go there.
Right.
So I don't know if that's the same case.
Probably something on Thursday morning, we woke up about 5 in the morning and I had 101 temperature. So you have to go to school for 24 hours. But then Thursday, it was completely normal. And then Friday, we thought we'd go to school. That was virus, take a lot of energy out of it.
Yeah.
Don't know, but he was completely fine. He threw up and it was fine.
Yeah, that's what happened to my son. He was 100% fine afterwards. Never had a fever, never had any indication that's completely normal. And I went back to school to ask him if they would allow him to come back the following day because my wife has to work and I have to come here to give lessons. So it was stressful on her because she's a CPA, she works from home. She couldn't work Thursday. They won't allow him back in because of the fact that you have to wait at least 24 hours after you sent this. So I said, okay, so if technically it's 24 hours, can I bring him back tomorrow at 12 p.m. to let him go at 12:30 p.m. So he can stay there till 4 o'clock and still won't do it. Yeah, so hopefully he has to take an entire day off. Yeah, so I was just curious if it was the same.
Yeah, so yeah, we
I'm
had
pretty
to
sure about that.
we have the same 24 hours with a fever. I think it's the same for him as well. Yeah, I think so. We decided that even if he's fine, he's probably not going to do this because it goes completely backwards. It just can't survive. You need to be comfortable. It's fine. He's probably not going to go. He's got a birthday party for us. I think he's going to do that.
Oh, that's
He's
good.
Friday morning, so he's fine. Never, to the wife.
Listen to Joy, you're the best part of our lives, kids.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I mean, ours has been testing us to know, she keeps going to buy him this one's good because he absolutely goes in bonkers on levels. But he would not eat his oatmeal unless we give him a I said, Mommy said you're not going to eat unless, you know what she did? She just got tired of it because he warned him like 10 times. We gave him no chances. He said, she threw him in the garbage. He lost it. We don't care. These are the consequences you pay if you listen to us. After that, he ate his oatmeal. He didn't ask for it again. Yeah.
Good luck.
It is because, yeah, we hate doing it. We hate seeing it cry, but we know it's...
Tony and Tim, did you guys share this?
Oh, yeah. So we can share it.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'll do it now.
share this if you're on? Can you share this if you Yeah, it's just good. Thanks.
It's not it all black and it's a bit shorter than that. It screws in. Screws into my screw.
Okay, it's not on Alaska's page, is it?
Sean Morgan.
Yeah, Sean's more.
I just tagged him. You can see it on your page.
Oh, okay.
Because last night here, they didn't miss a ball. They didn't miss. Because we played playing.
Sure. Yeah. So.
Putting the sound.
Yeah. Live. Let's go, Tim.
There's Sean Alaska.
Correct.
It's full page, yeah. But I just tagged both of them, so.
Gotcha, I got it.
Actually, I can't see. You can't see because of this?
Yeah.
Maybe we.
Should we switch, you and I?
No, I need to be on that side. But I can put it like this.
All right, guys, welcome here to Amsterdam Billiards Straight Pool League. We're about to see Tony Robles versus Tim Edmonds. They're going to go ahead and do the lag for us so we see who does the opening break. Obviously, in straight pool, you generally want your opponent to break the opening break. Looks like Tony won the lag, so Tim Edmonds will be breaking. I do believe this is a handicapped race, 150 to 100. So Tony will be racing to 150, Tim will be racing to 100. This is an exciting match, guys. Tim played very well to get here, and Tony's Tony Robles, so it should be a lot of fun to see these guys play. All right, guys, so Tim's breaking from the left side. He's going to try to get the 5 ball to hit the short rail and go back to the stack, and the 14 ball to hit the long rail and go back to the stack. Preferably not leaving any balls out in the open and getting the cue ball on the back short rail by the chalk. A pretty well executed shot there. Okay, so Tony's got the 5 ball. The cue ball's tracking towards the 9, and he's not guaranteed a shot. He's got a tough cue ball because the cue ball's close to the rail. So this could be a bit dangerous for Tony, and he's going to have to get a roll to continue running. Let's see if Tony can pull this shot out and get position on this 9 ball, or clip the 9 and get position on some other ball. Okay, and the problem with that shot was really trying to get position, and that's why he missed the 5. So Tim's going to be the first one able to draw blood here. And if he can pull back on the 9, he can get a good cut shot on the 5 to go into the stack with some pace. If he plays the 5 first, he's not likely to really open any balls up. If he leaves angle on the 9 where he can go into the 14, he could use the 14 to get to the 6. But right now, I think he's supposed to play the 9 or play the 5 directly and go into the stack. But I like playing the 9, getting position on the 5 on the long rail and cutting the 5 and going into the stack towards the 10 and the 11. He does have one other option I like, which is playing the 9, playing position on the 14, knocking the 14 out of the way, and then using the 5 to get onto the 6 ball. Now, if he's doing this, he's probably going to want to clip the 14, play the 14 to get position on the 6, use the 6 to open it up, or the 10. He's got 2 options. This is a good play. When he clips the 14, he should have the 10 ball. Tim's going to be a little deliberate here in the beginning. Usually when guys start straight pull, they start out a little slower. The momentum will pick up once they start to feel the table speed and see the positions open up. He's got a lot of work ahead of himself to start, so he wants to be a little more deliberate, make sure he doesn't make any errors. Tim's a little bit flat on this. He could play pure follow and go through the stack or use a draw stroke. He's choosing follow. And, great shot and great result. I do believe he'll shoot the 3 first. He could also opt for the 6, but I like the 3 ball. I would get rid of the 8 since it's somewhat useless. And I use the 1 to get me back on this half the table, so it looks like 3-8-1 to me. If you are just tuning in, I know some of the guys I said this was going to start at 12. We started a little early. Currently at the table is Tim Edmonds. If you're unfamiliar with him, he's one of Amsterdam's stronger 9-ball players and straight pull players. I suspect he's going to play position on the 13. And with the 13, he can go into the 2 and 4 and help shape on the 11, 13, or 15. Or he could try to weave around the balls and not hit any balls. He could also play the 1, 13, and then the 11 or 2, get rid of one of them, and then go into the 2, 4. A couple options here, but essentially he's trying to get rid of the balls, blocking the 6 ball for his break shot. I believe the 6 ball is the best break shot. He has the 6 and the 14 as break shots, so a couple options. Okay, so now if he cuts the 11, and he'll go right towards the 2. Like I said, I'll position on the 15 or 11. Maybe the 4 clears because he's not attacking that 2, 4. If he played the 11 first, he would add lots of insurance, but he's choosing a different route. He might be able to go 15, 14, then play the 4 in the side and the 2 in the corner, same as the 11. That's a nice pattern as well. The problem with that is he's got to get really good on the 14. Maybe asking a little too much precision. What I like to call getting a little cute. He's already run into a bit of trouble. He can play the 15, but the 15 doesn't have any real value positionally. If he can get back on the 14 off the 15, then it would have value. But you can see this 2-4 is really jamming him up. And he's got to play too precise position on the 14 to not ruin his 6-ball break shot. And I don't think he got on the 14, which he was trying to do. And if he didn't get there, he might have to play the 2-6 combination. And if he does make the 2-6 combination, everything else should clean up. But the 2 could roll up onto the 14 or get blocked. Yeah, I don't think he came up high enough for the 14. Now, if Tim didn't like this, he does have one other option. He could play the 7 towards the cluster and bring the cue ball back where it is now, forcing Tony to play a combination or some sort of safety. I don't really like that option against Tony. I feel like you got to be a little more aggressive if you're going to beat Tony Robles. But it looks like he might be playing that safety I just talked about. Okay, so Tim ran 10. Tony's got a 7-ball break shot and maybe a 14-ball break shot. I'm not sure if the 14's out of the stack. From where things are right now, I kind of like the 7. He doesn't seem to be able to push anything out in his initial shot. He could also try to play position to push the 2 out, playing the 4 on the side after pocketing the 14. And that's not a bad play. If he can play the 14, come a couple rails out, he could play the 4-ball, and it looks like he can push the 2-ball to the left side of the table. He'll have insurance with the 7 and the 6. He may just accept the 7. We got the winner of this match will play Steve Lipsky Monday at 6 or 6:30. And that'll be here at Amsterdam Billiards again, and we will be streaming this thanks to Pascal's software and streaming cameras.
I think the 14 is inside the triangle.
Yeah, it looks like it might be. And if the 14's inside the triangle, he's got to accept the 7. The 4 is also a possible break shot, but I like using the 4 to try to develop something. Tony's using inside English, so he could use the 6 to push balls out, or the 2 to push balls out as well. So he's decided to push balls to the right side of the stack, and the reason he did that is because the 7 ball is a good key ball. So if he can get perfect on this 6th to land on the 2 and push the 4 out, he'll use the 4 as a break shot. He might have got perfect position here. Okay. He's a bit frustrated because the 4 got frozen on the rail, which makes it a lot more difficult to pocket and have a little pace. So he'll have to be a little more deliberate in the pocketing here, which means he might not get much of the stack to open up. But what I was going to say is Steve Lipsky's waiting for the winner of this match for the finals Monday. So that should be an exciting match, guys. If you have your Monday night open, I'd love to see you guys check that out. And Steve, thanks for sweating the match. Steve Lipsky and Danny Baruti, along with Tony, were some of my mentors here. And a good friend in Richmond, Jim Gauthier, also a big influence on my game. Tony just hit that about as perfect as you could hit it. Looks like he's got the 2 ball. Can play position on the 9. get on the 9, he can use the 9 to get to the 7 and on the 6 ball as insurance when he pockets the 7. So 2, 9, 7, I believe. And I want to be slightly underneath the 7, so he goes towards the 1. Now, if something funny happens, he can still use the 6 as well, but I believe he'd prefer the 7 here. So Tony can draw this or he can follow. I like following it here. You can see the angle he had on that 7 just opened up the stack nicely, and that was all generated by getting the writing on the cue ball for the 7, knowing that he'd had the 6 after. Sometimes on this shot that he just played, you'll land straight on the 6, and that's sort of a bad roll, so he planned this out to make sure that he could get out back to the middle of the table in case he needs to. He might actually be a little awkward because he's jacked up over the 1, so he may have to play a little simpler position this first shot just to make sure he gets back in line. Yeah, he's playing for the 14, and I think he got there, and that should alleviate a little bit of his problems here. He can play the 14, the 12, and get rid of the 1. 1's a big problem. The 1, 10, 8, and the 5, 13, 15, 3 are all congestions that he needs to address as quickly as possible. The more balls he takes off, the less options he has to get rid of those problems. The 3, 15 are both break shots, so he'll try to preserve one of those two at the moment. Tony can play the 13 with a little bit of draw. He can actually develop the 15 ball as a key ball and maintain the 15 and the 3 as his key ball break shot. Okay, and trying to force the 5 out, he missed the 13. Obviously, he's a little frustrated. That was a big ball. It's important that Tony gets a strong lead in the beginning so that Tim feels more pressure. Tim's very capable of running a lot of balls if he gets opportunity. So Tony really wants to put the heat on, so to speak. Obviously, you want to play your best whenever you shoot, but there's a little more value in getting a strong lead. It's harder for people to come up and run a bunch of balls if you're cold. Okay, so Tim just solved one of the major problems, which was the 15-3 cluster. His last cluster to solve is the 8-1-10. And once he does that, the rest of the rack is pretty easy. And there might even be an 8-1 combination. So let's see what he can come up with here. Okay, uncharacteristic miss by Tim. And if Tim doesn't take advantage of errors, it's going to be a rough day for him, because Tony will get in stroke and will start to be very aggressive and overpower an opponent if you give him a couple opportunities. These guys did come in early today and warmed up probably about a half hour, 45 minutes, so both guys should understand the tables really well at this point. Not a favorable position for Tony to end up in. Yeah, he was jacked up, had to play position up and down for the 11. It did look like Tony one-stroked that ball. I feel that sometimes it's a little more beneficial to take a couple extra strokes when you're jacked up or when you have a challenging shot. You know, really make sure that your hand is steady. And one other major facet is you can't move that bridge hand on the delivery. did watch the replay on that stroke, and Tony put a pretty good stroke on it, so he might have just misaligned on the shot. Now Tim could play the 14 and go into the 110, but that's a little risky. I'm not sure if that's the right play here. I might wait for a better opportunity. Maybe use this 12 ball to open him up, or better yet, the 5 ball. I actually really like the 5 ball to open up the 8, 1, 10. If he does it now, he's going to have to use follow, make sure he gets back out. I wouldn't use this center ball. Yeah, I wouldn't use a center ball. And, you know, that's just lack of experience there. Had he known to hit that with follow, he could have hit those balls, hit the 13, and put a little pace on. Then you're much less likely to get stuck where he got stuck. Now he's got to come with a good shot. And Tim's capable of making this, but you want to make it as easy as possible. Yeah, and those shots, he probably aimed in the right spot, but there's a collision-induced throw on those shots. And I believe that's why he actually missed. I don't think he misaimed. I think the collision-induced throw got him. So usually it's best to put a little bit of outside English or right English on that shot, or cut it slightly extra, knowing that the cue ball is going to push the ball towards the rail. The further the ball is away from the pocket, the more you really see that, because the angles are a little more obvious further away from the pocket. So if you're up close and you do that shot, you're probably going to make it, even if you miss-hit it. Tim's a very capable player, so he must be feeling the pressure a little bit, because he's missed 2 shots already that I've seen Tim make several times, so he's just feeling a little pressure. He needs to play strong and give Tony some competition, make sure he focuses the rest of this match. And Tony's getting rid of this 12 ball because it kind of bites lonesome, and he's got 2 or 3 balls he can use as position from this, so he doesn't want to go up and down table too much. And with how he's set up, I believe he's going to go 5, 10, 8, 3. And he'll play the 5 in the left corner, 10 in the right corner, 8 in the left corner, and then position to the 3. Now if he can play to the left side of the table, it's very natural to swing around the 3, and that's what he was able to do. So this is, he can use top left, or he can go around the 3. I like going around the 3. Okay, nice speed control, nice angle there. That 2-rail position is usually better than the 1-rail. A lot of times when you do the 1-rail position, you'll hit the 3, or you'll get slightly farther away from the ball, or less angle. So the 2-rail position is probably the right play there. I have seen some guys execute the 1-rail position really well in that position. So this is a little thicker than a half ball hit, so generally speaking you would want to draw this ball as opposed to follow it. Tony's a little more, how should I say this, a little more deliberate in the break shot than a lot of guys. There's a standard of, if you're past parallel, then use follow. If you're shallower than parallel, use draw. Tony looks at the tangent off the object ball and sees if he's hitting the bottom of the tangent or the top of the tangent of the ball. And that dictates whether he uses follow or draw. Looks like he's got to play a 4-5 combination to start out. Oh yeah, the 9 ball. That's much better. I thought he called the 5 ball, but he called the 9. He's looking to see if the 113's wired. That would be nice if it was. Doesn't look like it is because he's going around the table already. He doesn't have many problems here. He can get on the other side of the table and play the 7 in the same pocket as the 2. The little congestion in the middle with the 15, 12, 8, 10, 13 are all his main objective of alleviating. So he could potentially play position for the 7, go into them, and have the 4 ball as insurance, or he could wait a little bit and sort of weave his way around the balls. Tony is more of a surgeon, so he likes to weave his way through the balls and not hit many if he doesn't have to. And that eliminates a lot of risk. And that's why he has more high runs than a lower ranked player. Now you see here when he pockets the 7, he'll have position on the 10 because he's going to clip off the 12, and he could use a follow stroke and probably have position on the 14. So multiple ways to attack this, and always he should have an easier shot. And now that all the problems are solved, Tony's going to try to figure out the pattern to run this out and maintain the 1 ball break shot. Currently, if you look at the table, it looks like the 12 ball by the side pockets, or sorry, the 13 by the side pockets a key ball. The 15 ball is also a good key ball to the 1. And the 11-8 is also a good possibility. So if Tony takes out the 13, he's going to lead the 11-8 or the 15 as his key ball. One thing a lot of great players do is they tend to take out the balls underneath the break shot if they have a choice. The 8 ball doesn't have a pocket by the 1, so if you leave the 8, he's going to use that as his key ball, meaning he'll go 11-8 and use the 1 ball as his break shot at the end. I suspect if he leaves the 12-10, he'll do that, but he's got to get rid of the 6 ball. So I think 15, 5, 6, 12, 10, 11, 8, 1 is the pattern I see. Let's see if Tony shows me the right pattern, or a different pattern that I didn't see. He needs to get higher. He needs to get higher. Now what he could do is he could push the 8 up if he got thicker on it and develop the 8 as a better key ball than it is now, putting it more in the middle of the table. Okay, that was a great shot. Now, when he plays the 11-8 at the end, the rack's going to be much simpler. So he just developed the key ball, and there's a few guys that do that well, and then there's Tony Robles who does it exceptionally well. To develop that 8 made the whole rack super simple as opposed to making it good. He made it great. Very Tony Robles-esque or Danny Berruti-esque pattern there. Tony Robles starting to get in the groove here. You can really see he's developing the shots nicely and making his run up simpler. Checking out these stats, guys. This is all Pascal's program. He's got an amazing system here for you guys. Hoping that this picks up in straight pool and that people will start using this more because it's so valuable as a student, and from a viewer standpoint, just gives you all the stats. It's pretty incredible. And since Tony again is thicker than parallel, the standard would be to use a draw stroke or a stun stroke in this. And Tony did use a draw stroke, so he stuck with the standard. And he could follow up and use the 2 almost immediately to open up the stack some more. Or he can take away some balls and attack it a little later. I really don't see anything wrong with using the 2, so I might just splash the pot a little bit with the 2 right off the get-go, assuming that I can get out of there, out of the stack after I hit the 2. If he's going into the 14 when he pockets the 2, he could follow through it, and he should have shape on either the 7 or the 5 or the 12, one of those balls. Probably more likely the 7 than anything. But he also should have shape on the 10 ball or the 13. But let's see if Tony's a little more deliberate and doesn't allow any luck into play and plans this a different way. Okay, if he goes into the 10 more instead of the 14, then he'll hit off the 10 into the 11-5, and the cue ball could go up table. And that could be a little dangerous. So he may want to draw thickly into the 10 and just open the 15 out and play position on the 13 next, because he's looking at the cue ball and where it's going, and it's going that direction. But if he glances the 11, it could really go up table. So let's see how deliberately Tony attacks this cut shot. And the position of the cue ball is really what I'm excited about. Okay, you see how it's going up table? Now Tony saw that, and he really hit the cue ball lightly to control it, to prevent any scratches up in that top right corner, and to maintain absolute control. And that was a very deliberate percentage play, and a nuance that some of the weaker players wouldn't recognize. You know, he watched the tangent off the, I believe it was the 10 ball, saw it was grazing the 11 ball and going straight up table, and those little nuances Tony's exceptional at seeing and devising a plan to attack. Every now and then Tony is human and he'll make a mistake, but that was a gorgeous decision there, and beautiful pattern. Now, a lot of players would play this 8 ball and attack the 12. The problem with that is you might lock up something by attacking the 12. Tony Robles is more of a surgeon. He usually likes to weave through these, so if he can find a way to attack this little cluster without going into balls, he'll do that instead. Now, if he pockets the 5, he might go on the 11, so he'll judge the speed to make sure that he doesn't hit anything. But if he can hit the 11 straight away now, he'll do that instead. Maybe alleviate the 10 off the rail. So he might play the 11, try to clip the 10, make the 10 a little easier to pocket later. Every opportunity you have to make the run out easier, you want to think of the balls as your soldiers, and if you're sacrificing a soldier, you want to win the war. So Tony didn't go towards the 10, must not have had the angle, or chose that he might lose the cue ball too much. But those are just little nuances you want to try to pay attention to, maybe exploit. Okay, looks like this 4 goes, so you got position on the 4. And you can swing around for the, looks like the 3 or the 12. Got a future champion walking around, Kendall's son. Kendall was here last night helping Kyle Radimus with the stream. We had an exceptional match with Tony Robles and Mika Imnan last night. Mika played phenomenally well and pretty much put on a clinic, so Efren didn't have much to say, but it's still a fun match to watch, guys. If you get an opportunity, I'd check that out. Now that was a very good shot by Tony, and I think he's able to maintain the 7 or the 5 ball as his break shot. And if he... Okay, looks like what Tony's doing is playing this top ball, then the 10 ball, then the 14 ball, and then the 7, or the 14 ball, and then the 5. He'll play the 5 on the side for his break shot. He lost his cue a bit there. He wanted to be thicker on the 10 ball so he could hold the cue ball better. Now he's in a little bit of trouble. Might have to reevaluate his plan. He might actually attack the 5 here, which is a little risky, so let me see what else he has. I think he's going to have to go back and forth here. So he's going to cut this in, come across table, back to the same side of the table as the 10 ball. Yeah, that's what he chose. Hit a good shot, but got a little angle on the 5. He needs the cue ball to stop. So Tony's going to have to use the 5 ball instead of the 7. Obviously, if he could have stayed to the right side of the 5, he would have used a 5 as a key ball. But saying he can't get used to the speed, but he got pretty strong speed on that 5 ball. Nice position play by Tony. Nice recovery shot. So he got online on the ball to the 10 ball and did a good recovery shot to get on the 6 ball, but he was slightly too far underneath. And then when he tried to play the 5 ball, maybe a little inside English would have helped kill the ball, or he just had to hit it softer. But he feels like the table's playing a little fast. I'd have to agree. It seems like it's a little bouncy today. Yeah, Tony Robles is currently on a run of 34. Score is 43-13. Sammy, another good straight pull player out of New York. Thanks for watching, buddy. Yeah, Tony's starting to get a gear here. Still struggling a little with speed, but he's thinking straight, and he's starting to pocket well again. So as long as he keeps playing and observing the speed of the table, I'm sure he'll lock it in shortly. That is one of the main differences between, I'll say, like an open player and a pro, is that they just adjust quicker to the conditions and start to recognize what's going on and constantly evaluating and making changes. You can't just keep doing the same thing wrong over and over again. That is why people don't improve. And so Tony wisely hit that softly, tried to develop the 1 ball. If the 1's not frozen, he can hit this with outside English, but if it's frozen, he's in a lot of trouble. But I think it's off the rail, so I think he can hit this with a touch of outside. Now, a lot of times, if you hit this with outside English, you hit it a little chubby and you rattle the ball. So he's going to aim a little thinner, I think. He needs a roll here. He needs a good roll. Now that 2-9 almost looks, or that 9-2 almost looks dead in the corner, but there's no way for him to access it. I'm trying to think of if Tim scratched and he didn't. He missed the ball up table, so Tim's not in the scratch. So Tony's got to outmove Tim from here and control the table. You never want to leave the table on the miss. You always want to control the table. So if he can control the table, make Tim shoot a low percentage shot or play safeties until someone makes an error, then that's the move here. I think Tony's going to clip the 2 and put the cue ball back where it is now, or slightly past that. But he does want to leave a shot on the 3. And pretty good shot there. I do believe Tim can play the 10 into the 15 and freeze the cue ball on the 13 ball and get a good safe out of this. But he's got to execute this very well, and he's got to control the cue ball above everything else. The 10-15 and getting the 15 to the rail, he'll have to be jacked up slightly to execute well. I would double check the 4-12 and make sure that's not wired up in the corner. He could also play carom off the 15 with the 10 ball. A bit of a low risk shot against a champion like Tony. You don't want to take those low percentage shots and potentially miss it and sell out. I think the safety is the right play, but I would do a stop shot, not a follow shot. And he was able to get the 15 to the rail. And the problem with this is it looks like Tony can play the 10 or the 2. He needed to freeze him slightly to the left side of the 11. I think Tony might have a shot in the 2. The good thing about the 2 ball is if he pockets it and can avoid the scratch, I'll have a position on the 9 ball in the left corner or the 6 or the 7 up table. Tony's racing the 150, so he's almost a third of the way there. Tim Edmonds is racing the 100. And he's 13% of the way there. Kind of wish my compadre was here to give us some comical relief. Last night we had Del Sim in the box with me. He's a great competitor and good commentator. Also makes it a little lighter sometimes on the scene, so he is fun to have around. Looks like Tony's going for a very tough shot on the 13. I remember what I said, the shot that Tim missed. If you miss this ball, the natural tendency is to go towards the long rail, so towards the 6 ball. So Tony might cut this a little more. And you see how he missed it towards the long rail, and it's still wet. But the collision-induced throw had a factor, and I think I heard the ball take a little skip, which means it skid on him. So the skid almost cost him, but luckily for all the pool fans, and especially the Tony fans, that ball went down, so we get to continue watching Tony shoot. Tim might have had a little bit of hope there for a second when he heard the click, but sometimes when you're in a chair, you just want to tackle your opponent so you get an opportunity, but this isn't football. Now the gold division, I believe, plays all ball fouls. So had Tony hit the 12 there, that would have been a foul. Pascal can confirm that. Oh, Pascal saying it's cue ball fouls only. So
All ball falls after the stroke.
so after the stroke, if Tony hit the 12, it would have been a foul, but on the setup, it wouldn't have been. I kind of like the purity of straight ball and having all ball fouls myself, but that's a Yednak thing, and I think kind of Thorsten Holman influenced me on that a bit, and Danny Baruti. Both those guys play all ball fouls whenever I practice with them, so I kind of like that rule because you have to set up more deliberately. He's got a good 11-10 combination if he wants next. He's opting for the 3 ball, and then I'll drop down for the 10. And then the 11 and 14 will both go in the same pocket as the 3, eventually. This isn't the prettiest layout or the simplest layout here. You got the 6-7 up table and the 8-5 in an awkward position. So Tony's deciding to make this a half table game. He's going to get rid of the 6-7 and then 9, come back for the 15-8, and then use the 10 ball to the 14 to the 11 will be his last 3 balls. So 9, 15, 8, 10, 14, 11, 12 ball break shot. Now I think the 14 goes on the side when he plays the 10. If not, he's got to leave angle on the 10 to come to the right side of the table for the 11 or 14. I prefer a little less cue ball movement myself, and I'd like to go 10, 14, 11, 12. Let's see if he's able to execute that. Okay, so Tony's double crossed me a little bit, and instead of playing for the 14 on the side, which may be a little questionable pocketing, he's opted to play both balls in the lower left corner. That was the other option earlier that I saw. Well, he landed very well on this ball. He's got natural 2-railer again. Straight ball player's favorite key ball position. And that key ball position is something that if you don't have good speed on, meaning you play that shot and you get out of line on the break shot, you should practice that shot a lot and make that in your arsenal, because that is a critical shot in straight pull. So the last 2 ball setup he just had is a common shot process. And then when he played the 10 and swiveled over to the right side of the table, notice he got above the 12 to make sure that he didn't get hooked by the 12. that's a scenario where a lot of guys will try to baby that and get perfect on that one of those two balls, and they'll end up stuck behind the 12. Always a little better to go a little past. Current score, guys, is 57-13.
What score do you have for me?
57 to 50.
Yeah, the silent assassin, Mr. Robles, is confirming the score for us at 57-13. He's playing Lord Vader, Tim Edmonds. And Tony's putting on a little clinic here now. He's gotten in stroke and playing the balls right. Typically, the 12 ball people would use top English on. But like I said, Tony will decide where he's sitting the 8 ball, whether he's sitting down the top side or the bottom side, and he'll make his decision based on that. He almost got a nasty kiss there off the 1, but instead he got Christmas. There's no problems here on the table except for the 4-11. So if the 4 goes by the 1 in the corner, this rack's pretty much a foregone conclusion for a good straight ball player. Now what happens in these scenarios is guys get a little lazy and they tie a ball up, or they don't plan the pattern, and they get a little out of line, and suddenly the rack becomes difficult when it should be an easy rack. So let's see if Tony can stay nice and focused and continue his run here. Okay, good opening shot. He actually developed the 13 to alleviate the 4-11 if he wants later. Recently, I got to see John Schmidt's 626 run. I feel very fortunate to have seen that. And it was pretty phenomenal that he had virtually no underneath the stack break shots. And it seemed like every break shot was your standard break shot, except for a couple. When you're playing good pool, the standard break shot, meaning like the 14-8 position, if the 8 was a little higher, is really your desired run-out pattern. And when you can develop that, you can really start to put some numbers together. Maybe not 626, but maybe 100 ball run here and there. But it's always a pleasure to see John and watch him play straight pull. It's one of the most beautiful things in the game. Still, I know the feat hasn't been seen by all, but a wonderful game that John has, and a pleasure to see him shoot straight pull. I think Tony can push the 11 out a little bit, maybe create a break shot, but yeah, it looks like the 11 is going to be his break shot now. And he'll want to get rid of the 15, maybe use the 15-14 for his cue ball break shot, but the 15 might be a little high. He could use the 9 to the 14 at the end, but it looks like he's trying to get rid of the 9 now. Notice that even though the rack was wide open, Tony's being deliberate. I like getting rid of the 7 and the 15 now, myself. Playing maybe 7-15. But Tony's going to play this a little differently. And I'm going to learn a little something here. Well, I know what Tony's doing. Tony's Tony's going to play 6-10, 7, 15, 14, 11. I think that's what he's planning. He got a little thin on the 6, but he's planning 6-10, 7 in the side, I believe. 15, 14. Okay, good kill shot by Tony. And he can play the 10 in the corner of the side here. Either one works, but 7, 15, 14 is going to be his last read, I bet. Yeah, I like this play in the side. Now he can get nice and thick on this 15, get a little relief off the rail, so when he plays the 14, he's off the rail. And he'll play the 14 ball on the side, and he can draw to the long rail or just pull it back a little bit. So instead of using one of the balls lower, like the 9 ball, to get to the 14, he chose to use the 7, and he saw that the 7 could get him to the rail shot, to the key ball. Nice little pattern there. Love his thought process, and really shows you his pull IQ there. Planning everything out, not getting out of line, maintaining a nice run when you have the easy out, and that could have been faltered by lack of focus, really, in that scenario, or just laziness. So kudos to Tony for getting out of rack that he's supposed to. And just a quick shout out to Baltimore City Q's, Let's Go Print NYC, and Nibs Nook, also the billiardist. Thanks, Pascal, for putting that print up for me. Back at the match here, though, guys. He's got what would generally be a follow shot, and since he's far enough away from the stack, he doesn't really have to think too much about this break shot. He just has to hit it with follow. If he wants, he can use a little bit of right English to torque it towards the center of the table after it hits the stack and goes to the short rail. But he's in great position here. This is slightly thicker than a half. Yeah, slightly thicker than a half ball hit. So the aim point's on the object ball. I expect Tony to pocket this every time. And he almost got a bad roll, but the 12 clipped the 5, came down to nice position for Tony. Doesn't look like he's straight in, so he should be able to get out to the middle. He's got the 9 ball, the 3 ball, or the 5 after this. If he's dead straight, he'll have to work a bit. But the 12 ball is pretty close to the rail. He might be able to cheat it and pull the cue ball out. If he has to, he could even go rail first. Yeah, Tony was able to just twist it out. And if he gotten a little higher, he could have used the 5, gone into the balls, and had the 3 as insurance. Now, with how it lays now, he could use the 4 in the side. But I think Tony's going to play the 3, then the 2, and use the 5 as insurance with the 2 ball. And got the right angle on the 2. He'll be able to go into these nicely. And he's not doing that, so he's... That was a little surprising. I thought he'd use the 2, go into them softly, develop the 1, and had the 5 as insurance. But he took the 5 out. Maybe he didn't have the right line on the 5. Looks like Tony's planning to take the 1 to the rail and back up. A friend of mine, Carolina Kwok, is getting married, and she's having a wedding, not party today, I forget what they call it, but she's getting together with her friends to enjoy that celebration, so I hope she's doing well. She was in the straight pool league for a long time before she moved to California. Just a quick shout out to Carolina. And Phil, of course. Phil, her great guy as well, good couple. But back to this match, guys. Tony's got the 8-13 as potential break shots. He's got the 9 as a key ball, or the 15 as a key ball. I like the 9 a little more because it gets you the right angle on the 8 ball. But another pretty simple rack here for Tony. I think he was playing for the 1 there, and they'll play for the 10 next. And get rid of these balls underneath the break shot. I do believe the 8-ball's a better break shot, so I think he'll get rid of the 1 and the 10 and the 8. Or the 1, 10, and 13. Sorry. He could also leave the 1 ball as a key ball. That's not a bad key ball. Okay, now that surprised me. He's using the 13 balls as a break shot instead of the 8 ball. Maybe if Tony checks this out later, he can explain why he used the 13 instead of the 8. I would have always used the 8 ball because the pocket's a little bigger with the 8 than it is the 13. And the 8 was still far enough away from the stack to be a good angle when he pocketed the 9. So I'm curious. I want to ask Tony about that shot. But I guess we'll just have to watch and learn why. Maybe Steve can chime in or Danny can chime in why he would choose one over the other there, because I would have chosen the 8. Maybe they're both good, so it doesn't really matter. Now he wants to get on this 4 or 7. Bridal shower, that's the word I was thinking of earlier that I couldn't say. Sorry guys, just came to me. So Carolina Kwok's having a bridal shower now. But I believe Tony's going to pocket this 4 ball, maybe play position for the 15 in the lower right corner as we're looking, and then play the 7 ball, and then use either the 9 or the 1 balls as key ball. I like going 9-1 if he keeps the 1 out. I think the 15 goes by the 9. So it looks like a 1, 15, 7, 9, 13 ball break shot. 1, 15, 7, 9, 13 ball break shot. And stop, stop, stop. Now some guys would have left the 1 ball. They would have played the 9 and then the 1. That does leave a nice angle, depending on where the 1 is on the rail. But Tony can get that angle off the 9, just as easily as the 1. So also it's a little less cue ball movement earlier on. So I think that's why he chose that pattern. But if anyone wants to chime in on the 8, Danny, Steve, please tell me why he chose the 13 ball over the 8, if you guys know, because I would have kept the 8. Quick shout out to Gail Glazebrook, Tony's beautiful wife, and she keeps Tony in line and helps Tony with all of his projects. Amazing woman, good support for Tony. I'm very happy for Tony to have that in his life. Back to this ball here. Looks like he's got a. Looks like he's going to clip the 11, and this shot, if it's what I think, it's Tony's favorite break shot. So he's going to clip the 11 ball, and he's going to hit the short rail and go back into the stack again. So this is a top left English, and he'll hit the 11 once, and then he'll come back and he'll hit the 2 or the 5 after. Thanks, Steve. Just I want some outside input on that one. But this is a center or top left, depending on how we can create that tangent. Oh, he missed the stack. Usually he goes back into the cue, but he had so much left on that he swung over to the long rail. But I think that's what he was trying to do. Didn't get a bad roll, so he's good here. The 1 ball's in a little bit of a bad position. That break shot didn't open up the stack as much as some other break shots. But this is why Tony can weave through these and make some magic out of this. It would be nice to get on the 3 ball and go into that little pocket with the 2, the 6, the 8, and the 15, and disperse those balls a little more. But I'm not sure if he has the capability on the 7 to get over to the 11, then 9, and then follow back to the position to cut the 3 in the pocket and go into the 2, the 6, the 8, and had the 5 as insurance. Obviously, the 15 might block you, so you have to play a little cautiously. Okay, so he took away that insurance ball, so he's going to go 7, 9 instead, or 7, and then use the 3 after. But if he goes into the 2, the 6, the 8, the 15 is insurance, so that's why you could take away the 5. Yeah, one thing about the streams, I feel like it's awesome for couples and stuff, because if they happen to have work or take care of a little one, wink wink, then they can't always come to watch the matches and support their husbands or wives, so they can watch it online. That worked out well, but he hit the 15 out of play, so he's going to have to, well, he doesn't have to do anything, but he got shape on the 10 or the 6. So he's got some other options, but the initial insurance ball is missing, which would be the 15. The good thing about the 15 going up table is now there's not just a lonesome 1 ball up there. He's got the 15 and the 1 to address that scenario. And I believe the 4 will get him nicely over to that side. He can maintain the 9 and 14 as his key ball break shot. And pretty much the racks developed nicely after that 3 ball in the corner shot. A lot of straight pull is really addressing the clusters from the right angle. That opens it up and gives you the most opportunity and the highest percentage to have insurance after you open it up. You never want to go into the stack without a safety valve or an insurance ball. Another friend of mine who was playing last night, Mika, talked about the playing straight pull, and really he says, if I'm going to play a straight pull tournament, I got to gear up like a week before and really get in the right mindset to think straight pull, because it's such a thinking game as opposed to 9-ball where the pattern's laid out for you and there's not really as much thought. It's pretty connect the dot and everyone knows how to play the patterns. But straight pull, you got to think of how you're going to solve problems every rack, even the simple racks. You have to think and decide how you're going to solve problems. So it's really more of an intellectual game, and really one of the best games to practice if you're trying to be a good pool player in general. Straight pull should be a staple in your practice routine. Okay, that didn't hurt his key ball too much. He's a little annoyed he touched it because he liked where it was, but he's still okay here. He's reevaluating his plan now. Another one of our colorful people that come into the room, Alex Masucci. You always know when he's around because you hear him. Love you, Alex. But Alex has been going to Amsterdam since I started working there about 19 years ago, and a good friend of the room and owner, and always a pleasure to have around, and really does make the room more colorful and enjoyable to be in. Big shout out to Alex for participating in the leagues and always having a good time here. Now, Tony got a little out of line there. He's really playing position on the 2, and he drew the ball a hair too much. Previously, you saw he got frozen to the long rail, which is why he had a bit of a problem getting exact position. So he's going to have to either take the 15 ball, or maybe he can draw off the 4, come back for the 9, and regroup and plan a different way to attack. But this is the first time, well, first or second time Tony's really got out of line in this run. And let's see if he can recover and make straight pull great again. So with how he's left things, it looks to me like he's going to go 4, 15, 1, and play the 1 as a key ball to the 14. So he's going to get rid of this 8, 7, 2, however he wants to get rid of the 8-7. He's going to get rid of the 8 and the 7, then the 2. He's going to play the 4, the 15, and then use the 1 as his key ball to get on the 14 ball break shot. This is still good. He'll play the 2, then the 7, then the 4. Now he could simplify this and play the 2-up table in the upper, or the 7-up table in the upper right corner. But he came up really short there. He really wanted to play position on the 7 there, use the 4 to get on the 15, and then use the 15 to get on the 1. Now he's going to have to move the cue a lot more distance, so he may actually opt out of his last pattern and play the 15-1 and use the 7 as his key ball. The 7 ball is not an ideal key ball, so yeah, the 7's so bad that he's decided to go ahead and use the 15 instead. So nice little Z pattern here. I want to get close to the 15, so he has control. Okay, half table shot's close enough. He'll use a little bit outside, get the cue ball in line with the cue ball and the 14 towards the first diamond. You can see that the line from the cue ball and the 14 goes right towards the first diamond. He got nice and close to his work. And another beautiful rack by Tony. You can see Tony's caught a gear. I believe he's on a 54 ball run. Now we're getting to watch some pretty pool finally. And I actually streamed Tony's last match, and he didn't quite play as well as he's playing now. So it's nobody plays perfectly. Nobody plays great all the time. We saw the great Efren Reyes play not so how should I say it, invincible against Mika last night, but still a great match to watch. And Mika really just shined. And talking about Mika and John did a Battle Royale event, a straight pull match at Richmond. And John took him out the first time, and Mika beat him the last time, just to show you how strong the straight pull community is, and how really coin toss as to who's going to win any match. You know, this guy just ran 626 a month before, and then he plays Mika, and Mika beats him in a race to 150. Both guys played phenomenally. You know, it's just pool guys, but Tony, a nice soft break shot. Didn't have to do anything. Got the right angle on the break shot to really not work the cue ball much, and he's got quite a few little challenges. But looks like Tony's going to take a brief break. And that's right. Today's Saturday. Guys got to pay the meters. It's snowing outside, so it's a good time to go out and cool off. Maybe make a snow angel and come back. So I'm going to take a break with these guys. I'll be back shortly. Thanks again for watching, guys.
This game? Or the game you play? I thought you were talking about this game.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
It's even crazier than that. Okay.
No, I mean this game.
The game you play. There's a lot of game on the phone.
Alrighty guys, Michael Yednak here with Pascal Dufresne. We're here at Amsterdam Billiards, 14-1 straight pull league match here. This is the semifinals, Tony Robles versus Tim Edmonds. Tony just reached 100. He's racing the 150 and Tim's at 13. Tim should have done something in his drink or something to get back to the table, maybe tackle him, freeze his hands outside or something, but he's got to stop Tony somehow, which means that Tony has to make a mistake for him to get back to the table. But it's snowing pretty strong out here. Yeah, I know. It's a lot of snow here, guys. There's a big storm coming through. Hopefully everyone's safe and careful. But a little bit of black ice here. Tony did drive here. He lives in Long Island, so probably trying to finish this as quickly as possible so he can drive back home safely to his beautiful wife and child. But putting on a pretty good showing here. While I have another second. Just do a quick shout out to a couple of folks that take care of helping me do the stream. And Pascal just put up the wonderful flyer there for you guys. But Jacoby Custom Cues, Dave Jacoby just was inducted into Wisconsin Billiards Hall of Fame for the work he does for Jacoby Custom Cues. Amsterdam Billiards here at 11th Street and 4th Avenue, between 3rd and 4th Avenue, right by Union Square. Used to be on the west side, that's why it's called Amsterdam Billiards. Beautiful venue, 25 tables, 2 8-foot tables. Greg Hunt's the owner, amazing guy, amazing crew that works here. Very grateful to be a part of that. Azala Botanicals, some new stuff I've been working on. It's good to keep you a little calmer under anxiety and maybe help you sleep. Also helps you focus a little more. Good product there, Azala Botanicals. Community Tips and Chalk, narcoleptic chalk holders. Bradley McDuffie, a quick shout out to you. Baltimore City Cues. Great company, Peggy. Thanks so much for letting me be involved with you guys. Let's Go Print NYC, Jimmy Nibs Nook, for any of your pet needs, and the Billiardist, of course. And the Billiardist, just so you guys are aware, they sort of manage players and events and help me with the stream a lot. So back to the match, guys. Tony's at the table. You're watching Tony Robles. He's currently at 100, racing to 150. Looks like he's on a 55-ball run. And, let's see some good pull here. It looks like he's got the 9-ball or the 7. I might opt for the 7 here and keep the 9 to alleviate the cluster. So by cluster I mean the 311 congestion. But it looks like Tony's going to attack it now. If he uses a little bit of inside English, you might be able to clip the 3 up and maintain position on the 5. But I personally like the 7 a little more. Maybe do a stop shot, play position on the 6. Use the 6 to get the 1, which opens up the 2-8. Looks like Tony's using outside instead of inside, so he's not going to attack that little problem. He's going to wait for later on that. Now Tony can play either the 6 or the 7. The reason I said 7 is the 7 is kind of a useless ball, so you do want to get rid of it pretty soon. You don't want to let that lax too long. Could become problematic if you hesitate too long on that shot. Someone mentioned the 11. It looks like, oh, your screen's actually better than my view. I'm a little more flat on the ball, but it does look like the 11 might be wired, and that would be a very valid reason not to shoot in that last shot. But if the 11 were wired, I might have gone ahead and played that above the 9 ball that he shot. I kind of feel like that was a little mistake on Tony's part to hit that cluster, but I'm sure he did it intentionally. I would have waited on that. No real reason to go on the balls there. Yeah, Tony's scoping that combination you mentioned a little. Yeah, Tony's making sure that that is wired, so you may have called that well. And he may end up playing position for that shortly. And he was able to alleviate the 8, which is important because he did cluster that back up. He could play the 10 now if he wants, and I think that's going to be the move. Maybe play position on the 6, open up the 4 ball, and then start to evaluate how he's going to run out this rack. If the 311's wired, he'll possibly leave that for a later scenario, but I like 10-6 and or maybe 10-1-6, but 10-6 is also good. Notice Tony cut that to the outside of the pocket. He didn't get on the 6, so he's going to have to play the 2 first, and then maybe that 3-11 combination you were talking about. And you notice Tony did cut that 10 ball to the outside of the pocket, and that could have been to fend against the collision-induced throw. Now, if he gets good on this 8, I might take the 8 out now since he's already good on it. He'd probably play position for the 311, but if you happen to land perfectly on the 8, you get rid of it while you're there. If it's a useless ball, and I kind of feel like it is, but he may have had a plan for it. Okay, so Tony's calling the 11, so he's playing the combination. You can play for the 1, the 12, or the 8. I kind of like going up for the 1 or the 6 here. Oh, so that wasn't wired. He needs the 3 to hold up so he can play the 12-3 combination. He didn't get it there, so Tony's going to have a bit of a tough shot now. Now, Tony was practicing a similar shot to the 8 ball when they were warming up. So Tony can come with the shot here, and he's probably going to have to, but he's trying to figure out how he got out of the line. He's going to be frustrated for a second, figure out how he got in trouble, and then he's going to move on and get out of trouble, because that's what a champion does. So probably just going to have to spear that 8 in or cut the 12. He's going to go after the 8. The 12's too close to judge the angle properly, and it doesn't really lead to anything. When he makes the 8, he'll have shape on balls. So just gonna muscle up here and put down a tough shot. Probably use a little bit of outside English to take away that collision-induced throw I talked about earlier. And it skid a hair, hit the rail, but still went in. And Tony's glad to have that ball out of the way. And we're back in action here, and just goes to show you the mental fortitude of Tony to get through a bad situation and come out smelling like a rose. Now this 6 ball has been lingering for a while, so I'm suspecting he's going to play the 6, the 1, the 7, and then use the 4 as his key ball. So I like 6, 1, 7, 4. Let's see if Tony Z's this cue ball back up towards the 1 ball. Playing long rail. Long. Wants a little relief. Got it. Play good position on the 7. And then he'll want basically the angle the 1's on for the cue ball later. I hear what you're saying about the gold crown, but if you're on new cloth, you'd still make that last ball Tony made. He stayed down nicely, and yeah, it scraped the rail pretty high up, but the angle was pretty shallow that he had on the 8 to the pocket. So if you do clip the rail on the way in, a lot of times it still goes in, especially on new cloth. That would have slid in anyway. But yeah, old cloth type pocket, no chance with that 8 ball. But that's not the scenario he's playing on, so he probably played to the equipment's to favor the equipment that he's playing on. Regardless, a great recovery shot, and Tony's back in action here. So we're almost at 70 balls. Tony's on a 68 ball run at the moment. So if he gets to 145, he'll be on a 100 ball run. So let's see what Tony has here. Now, obviously, since he's not parallel to the shot on the 15, he's past parallel, meaning a thinner angle on the 15 ball. The general idea is to use follow. And if he were to the left of the 15 as we're looking, they would use draw. I love Brunswicks too, Michael. But let's see if Tony can maintain this run. And that was an error on Tony's part. Tony had no reason to be in a bad spot on that shot he made with the kick throw shot to make that 11 ball of the 3-11 combination. But still, he's able to come with a good shot and keep his run. He needs a nice shot after this break shot, which he got on the 5. And he's looking great here. Slight congestion in the middle, standard after a break shot. He's got the 2, 3, 12 as a problem. He's got the 10 as a potential break shot. Could develop something still, so no need to focus on it, but I wouldn't eliminate it. 6 ball's a little wise lonesome, but the 11 brings you back after you pocket the 6, so the 6 isn't a problem. 12-4, not that bad either. I think he can play the 5 and maybe spin down a little bit, or just play a follow shot, get on the 9, use that to get position on maybe the 8, clear that pocket for the 10, and then he can use the 10 to open him up if he wanted. Problem with the 10 ball, if he does open it up, he's not going to have a natural break shot. He could get fortunate and maybe develop the 3, but looks like the line of the balls isn't laying very well for him to get a good break shot if he uses the 10 ball to develop a break shot on the right side of the table. So I suspect he might choose a different option to attack this rack. I kind of like 7, 9, getting rid of the 14, and then the 12. Maybe using the 4 to clear those balls up a little bit. But he's got some options here. No need to hurry. Get rid of some of the balls that are already out, and then reevaluate a great plan to attack the stack. If the 4 went by the 13, I would definitely use the 4 to go into the 2. But I don't think it does. He could also play the 7, get on the 12, take the 4 to go into the 2, and then have the 14 balls insurance and the 8 as insurance, but more so the 14. That's another good option there. I'm just trying to give you guys some possibilities. I'm not saying that's what he'll do, but there's a bunch of different ways to play straight pull. He's getting rid of the 8 ball. He can go into the 4 if he wants, or he can pull over to the to position on the 13 or the 4. Now, since both these balls go, which clearly they do, now he's got 2 insurance balls with the 13 ball and the 14 ball. When he goes into the 2, he'll have one of those 2 shots pretty much guaranteed, unless he gets a funny roll. He's trying to go straight into the 2. And I said unless he gets a funny roll, and that's the only funny roll that can happen. He goes between the 1 and 12 and doesn't have the 14 or the 13. Luckily, he's got the 3 or the 1. He's opting for the 3 ball. And he developed the 12 ball. And since there's more balls on the right side of the table, meaning the 11, the 3, the 9, all 3 of those balls are potential key balls. On the left side, he doesn't have a good key ball, but he could use the 12 ball as a key ball if he wanted for the left side. So Tony's got a lot of options here. I might draw into the 3 and develop the 3 to a better key ball here, knowing that I have the 10 or the 6 after. If he's got any angle and can clip that 3 over to the right side of the table a little more, that would be an ideal break shot. Okay, with what I see now, he's probably going to go 9, 10, 14, 12, 6, 11. He just totally lost a cue ball. Might have been a little distracted, but this is not what he was playing for. He could reevaluate and maybe use the 10 ball as a break shot. But he had a really easy pattern there and just got a little out of line. And he's able to recover. Got back on the 10. He'll go 10, 12, 6, 11. Or sorry, 10, 13, 6, 11. Sometimes I get the 12 and 13 mixed up, guys. Sorry about that. But 10, 13, 6, 11. And good recovery by Tony when he got slightly out of line on that last ball. But now the rack's pretty simple. Except he slaughtered that ball and back to recovery. So he's going to cut this in the corner. The 6 ball is still a reasonable key ball. The general tendency of this ball is to overcut it. So Tony will aim a little thicker on this and put a little right English to swerve into the ball and cut it. And he hit it a little thicker, like I said. And it cost him. He got out of line. First time he got out of line a couple times that rack in a while, you know, and maybe a slight lapse in focus. But Tony's at 125. He was looking to run the set out, and just a little positional error cost him. And Tim's really got to capitalize right now, and he's got to run 80 balls, really, you know, and just close this out because 25 is a hanger. You know, I say he slaughtered the ball, but really he just misjudged the angle on that ball to get positioned to the 6. He might have thought that the inside English was going to kill it, and since he hit the ball thin, it had so much energy that he couldn't hold it. Tim got a nice angle on this break shot, but he's a little close to the rail, and if you're on a 60 ball run and you're feeling good, this ball's a hanger. But if you're playing Tony Robles and he's got a strong lead on you and you just got your first opportunity in about a half hour, this ball's a little more missable. But on this shot, the good thing is that all I think Tim has to do is make a shot. I don't think he has to really put any English, draw on a certain side of the ball or follow in a certain side of the ball. Looks like he's going right towards the 14, and he can just make the shot, and he'd be very unlucky not to get a good spread because he's got so much angle. A lot of energies on the cue ball. Should explode the rack without any real effort. So just play this pocket speed, whatever you're going to make it at, and enjoy the result after. Let's see if Tim stays still and delivers a nice stroke on this. He did, and he put a nice stroke down. And the gentleman Tony is complimenting him on the shot because it was a steep angle. It was very missable. Tim's got mathematical low percentage run out here at the moment, so he's got to create some opportunities for himself. He's got this 7, 14, 3, 8. I'll call it nonsense at the bottom. He's got the 9, 10, 11, 2, 4 in the middle, And he's got the 15 ball sort of in a bad position. Now the 15 leads to the 13, which, you know, if he can develop a break shot to the right side of the table, might solve some of his problems. If he can draw into the 7 and maintain position on the 8 here, he'll solve another one of his problems. So critical key here is to really try to solve as many problems as you can every single shot, so that you have multiple opportunities if you do make an error. You know, he may not have to go into the 7-14. I believe the 7 goes after he pockets the 8. So if he doesn't need to do that, he could try to just weave right in between the 7-8 and play position on the 8. Okay, he's all right. He's all right, guys. Heard a little gasping from the crowd, but he's got shape on this 8, and he might even help his scenario if he can pocket the 8, which I think he can. I don't think the cue ball is going to go too far, because he'll either hit the 6 or he'll hit the rail now position on the 15. But I wouldn't hit it with a flat cue ball. I would jack up and I would dice this in. If he's awkward on it and can't dice it in, then he should. If he doesn't feel like the combo's good, then he should roll up on the 8 and get the cue ball on the rail. And if the combo's off, let Tony deal with it. You know, Tony just made an error. He's got to fade his error and then come with a good safety or a good shot. So if there is no shot, then play a smart safety and control the table. But I think this 8 goes. I'd be surprised if he's thinking he's going to throw the 8, throw up, if he's going to throw the 8 towards the long rail, then he should be able to use English or cut angle to compensate for that. Yeah, he's looking to see if he frees him on the rail and the 8, if Tony has a good combination on the 7-14. I got to tell you, if it's off angle and the 7 ball's frozen, I would definitely play the safety here if I don't feel good about the 8 ball. If he's playing the 6, this will be one of the greatest shots of the match. He makes this. Let's see his stroke here. What an incredible shot Tim came with there. You know, well, maybe he is Darth Vader. You know, he used the Force or something on that shot, because that was an incredible shot. Even got compliments from his opponents, or his opponent. This match actually started slightly late, and my student just strolled in for his lesson, so I might have to leave you guys. I'm going to go check on him and see if everything's all right. If it is, then I'll come back and do some more commentary. Otherwise, I'll have to leave you guys for the beautiful commentary of Pascal. But let's see what's happening here. I'm going to step away for 5 minutes. I'll be right back, guys. I kind of want to see how Tim gets out this rack. Actually, I'm going to sweat the rest of this rack just to see. My student loves me. I'll be all right. That's the exact angle he wants on the 15 to go into the 10 and develop something. He needs a little bit of a roll here, or he could go spin down into the 7, but I think he's going to go into the rack here. Let's see if he can get a good roll. And when I said he needed a good roll, I wasn't lying. That was in a very bad position, and he had to really hit a certain part of the ball to get all the balls to open, and he hit the top side of the ball, so he didn't really get the energy on the ball. He's going to have to play it safe here, I think. And probably the best thing would be to clip the 8 and put the cue ball in the upper right corner. It's a shame with the quality of pocketing that Tim's putting down that he's not in line to continue to run. I kind of want to see him throw a number down. He's going to have to play safe and play smart. Again, regardless of what you want, sometimes you have to play the table. So if the table's not letting you run out, you got to play safe. You just got to go ahead and play the smart shot. Tony might check and see if the 10-11 is wired. If the 10-11's wired, or he's got a carom off the 11 in the corner, he'll play that. Otherwise, he's got to thin the 8-ball and put the cue ball back up where it is. Tony's not showing any smiles or happy thoughts, so I don't see him playing the 10 off the 11. Looks like he's going to play a safety and clip the 8, put the cue ball back on the short rail up there. And I don't think he'll use spin because he may hit it a little too thick. So, because of the deflection, if he uses outside spin to get the cue ball to the right side of the table, he could hit the 8 too thick and leak out. So he'll probably play this with the center ball and just accept the cue ball back to the rail. If my buddy Dell was here, he'd say bank the 8, but he's not, so I'm not going to call that. He's playing it safe. This is a wise shot here. He's got a strong lead. He doesn't want to make any errors. He wants to force Tim to make the first error. He's going to make Tim come with a shot, and even if he were to leak out, Tim's got to come with a good cluster removal. Yeah, so Tony's on one, and he hit the 8 a little too thin. He was hoping to hit the 8 a hair thicker and have it miss the stack and go back up table, but he may have actually been trying to clip the 8 and then put inside English on. But with that shot Tim made on the 6 ball, I kind of feel like he's got to come with another shot here. But I got to tell you, this is a horrible position to be in, and tough ask here. And even if he does make a shot, he doesn't have to get rewarded with position. The 11, 4, 2 are all in a bad spot. So if he plays the 2, he's probably going to have a shot in the 4 or the 10, but it's not guaranteed. If he plays the 10, he could have a shot in the 2, but it's not guaranteed. So I think I'd play the 2 over the 10 ball, though. He's trying to analyze to see if he'll have position on something after he pockets this ball. Problem with this shot is he's at such a distance that the cue ball is going to want to go forward, so it's going to want to pick up friction from the cloth and be a forward roll instead of a draw or a stun line. So he's gonna drift forward, and he could actually scratch out the 4 here if it's as thick as I think. Okay, and this, if he's got the right angle on the 4 to draw into the 7, it could be Christmas, but I don't think he got that, so I think he's going to have to look for another gift, maybe with the 11, to open up that 7, 8, 9, 14 situation there at the bottom. The 11 is going to have to be a savior, so he's going to have to play position for this 11 to open up these balls. The 10 ball's possible if he uses a side pocket 10 ball, he could also go into him. And because he's got so much angle on the 11, or so thick on the 11, I like using the 10 ball now, cutting it in the side and going right into those balls. This, he could miss it, could not get a good result because he's too thick on the ball. He was too thick on the ball and he tried to force it. I believe the 10 ball on the side was a little better option there. And, Tony's got ball in hand. He's going to set up to try to go into the 7 thickly and make this happen. But this is a tall order. All right, guys, this is a safety battle I can't hang out for, so I'm going to slip away. Hopefully this works out well for the players and we get a competitive match. But I'll try to be back shortly, guys. Take care. Thanks again, Pascal.
All right, guys. This is Pascal Dufresne. Thank you for staying, even though we just missed Michael Yednak. I'm not sure if Tony has any plan for those balls on the table. I don't see anything wired, any easy combo, so maybe he's gonna try to go 2-rail and run into them. That's the only thing I see. 3 rails actually. Now he has to play safe because he missed the cluster. Going to a safety battle, folks. This one could be very long. Tim is probably going to feather the 14. On the right side for us, left side for him. No, he's gonna go for the 8 ball. Try to bring back the cue ball as far up the table as possible on the rail. That's pretty good. And Mike Yednak is back.
So much. Sorry for the delay. My student's awesome. Told me to go ahead and play some or do some commentary for you guys. So I'm going to hang out for a little bit. We'll see if this match doesn't take too long, but I got a little leeway with him. I think Tony's going to clip the 14 on the right side and go back up table.
Let's go. Let's go.
150 and 100.
Okay, I thought Tony was going to clip the 14, but it looks like he tried to use the 8 ball. Tried to play he either went for the bank or he tried to play a safety on the 8 into the 9, but it almost looks like he went for the bank with how hard he hit it. It's a little aggressive. I'm a little surprised by that play, but it's hard to argue with the mastermind of straight pull, Tony Robles. Maybe he just felt good about the bank in that situation. You know, sometimes you feel really good about a shot, and if you do, you really got to just shoot it because you're probably going to end up all right. But a little bit risky. Looks like Tim's going to end up getting the best of this rack. He'll play the 9, then the 7, and probably use the 14 as a break shot. He could also play the 9 and the 14, follow up and play the 7 the other way. But I think the best option, really, from where he sits now, is to use the 14 ball break shot. I think he got, if not just high enough, he might have got perfect. I think he can draw this back a sliver, and oh, he's playing the 14. This is a surprise to me. Okay, he's not. Good. Okay, so he's playing the 7, playing position on the 14. He wants to be a little thick on this ball, but I think he kind of wants to be in the same line that the cue ball's in now. I don't think he wants to be too shallow. Yeah, it's a good line. Drew back a little hefty. Might have had a little bit of pressure in that stroke, but he's still looking good here. So currently, Tim's at 26. Tony's at 126. Tony obviously needs 24, and Tim needs 74. And Tim really wants to draw this back into the 4 ball, preferably on the left side of the 4. Doesn't need to hit this hard, but needs to hit this accurately. Actually doesn't want to hit it hard. Okay, hit the wrong side. Hit the wrong side of the ball. Hit the 3 ball instead. But he did clip one of the weaker shots, so I'm not going to say the wrong side, just different than what I thought he would choose. But if he can play this 12 and get position on this 4, that'd be awesome. If he can play the 12, come back around the table for the 3, that's also acceptable, or the 6. But I like, if he's thick enough on this ball, playing position for the 4 is ideal. Thanks to everyone watching. We're at about 57 views. I hope you guys are enjoying the match. Looks like the 6 mic. What's he playing? Maybe there's a dead ball. Oh, he's playing the 6. I'm a little surprised he chose the 6 there. I was surprised by that choice there. Pretty interesting choice. I think I would have gone for the top ball play position for the 4, or I think it was the 12 ball. I would have played the 12 ball, come around for the 4, or played the 6 or the 3 next. I wouldn't have played it straight ahead, but maybe he had a better angle than I thought on the 3 ball. Tony actually didn't come away with the reward for Tim's miss. Tony's got to come with a shot here. This is not a hanger. What he might do is he might play off the 10 into the 4 with a draw stroke, a little carom shot. I think that's probably the safest play. He doesn't want to scratch though. Okay, he had the combo on the 6-4. Also a great shot. Yeah, I saw he played the 3. I just wasn't sure why he chose the 3, Steve. I thought he could wait a little bit. The 4 ball was out, and he could play the 12 ball and get position on the 4. It seemed like it was a thick enough hit where he could get position on the 4, and to open him up after taking a ball out or 2. But maybe the 3 is the right play. They did open up. Tony did come with some shot on the 6-4 combination. That's by no means a hanger. Tony could split the 7-15, and that would be ideal, I believe. Okay, he hit the 15, but not the 7. If he'd hit the 7, he would have alleviated all that congestion. But the balls are in better position than they were before, so overall, objective met. And you can play the 11 and open up all 3 of these balls now. I got you with the 3, Steve. For some reason on the table, it looked like he could go for the 12 ball and then had the 6 or the 3 later. But maybe I just misread the angle with what I was looking at. Pascal's making predictions here, a little premature, but Tony still has to get out this rack. And get into the next rack. The only trouble I see is really the ball tied up on the 8 here. So he may have to play the 6, play the 2 and go into him, and then I'll have the 1 up table or the ball that he hits on front of the 8. I can't actually see what ball it is. I'm assuming it's the 9 ball. I think the 9 and 8 are tied up. Or sorry, it's not the 9. Must be the 12 and 8. I think it's the 12 and 8 tied up. So he could use the 2 to go into the 12 and 8. You know how the 9 or the 1 is insurance. Okay, if he eliminates the 9, he can get the right angle on the 2, which is above the 2, to go into the 12-8. And now the 1 is insurance, and I'll probably have a shot in on the 12 or the 8. Okay. Luckily, he's got the 1, which was always there, and he might have a shot in the 12, but I think he's going to play the 1 first. Maybe the 12 blocks the 1. If so, I'll play the 8, then the 12. This 15 is looking a little lonesome, and the position of these balls just don't lie easily. The 3 ball's in a little bit of a useless position, and the 12 ball's a little useless. I think Tony might be forced to use the 15 ball as his key ball. Okay, hit that a little wide, but it still went in. Now he's going to want to get almost straight on this 3 ball so he can draw back up for the 15. Or he's going to leave a thin cut and go 3 rails to the 15. I like this play. This is a great shot. He'll try to hit the 2nd diamond on the long rail in the upper right corner. So he'll try to hit the 2nd diamond on the 3rd rail. That'll give him a nice line on the 15 to come towards the 7. I like this pattern Tony chose. There were a couple options there, maybe using some of the ball to get up table, but this 3 rail position shot with the 3 so close to the pocket makes the 3 almost unmissable, and the cue ball track line is going right towards the 15, and as long as he hits around the 3rd or 2nd diamond, he's got angle on the 15 to get nice position on the 7. Quality position play. I hope everyone learned a little something there. Tony made it look easy with a pretty awkward out, to be honest. The pattern just wasn't very natural. Nice out by Tony. Current score is 139 to 27. Tony Robles is racking. Tim Edmonds is forced to the chair, unfortunately, acting as a security officer at the moment, sweating the match. But
Score? 139. 139.27.
so guys, our scoreboard's correct. Pascal's program's amazing and keeping us in line, and the players are doing a good job as well, giving us feedback, make sure we're good. Guys, Monday, should things continue the way they are, Steve Lipsky will be playing against whoever wins here, and that'll be a race to 150 if it's Tony, a race to 100 if it's Tim against Steve Lipsky's 150. This is typically a draw stroke, and Tony chose to draw it, and he's got shape on the 14, I believe. If the 5 is blocking the 14, which now that I'm looking at the other screen, it looks like it is, a little bit of a bad roll, but don't be surprised if there's not a dead ball in the stack. Looks like the 12-13 might be wired. I'm not sure. If it's not, I would say it's a bad roll. But maybe the 6 goes. Looks like the 9's blocking the aim point for the 6, or the contact point for the, I'll say aim point. I like to use aim point for the object ball and contact point for the cue ball. Someone says, tune in just in nick of time to watch Tony wrap things up. Way to go, Tim. Way to go, Tony. They said, way to go, T. Tony's looking at something creative here. Maybe the 111-4 is wired. Now, there's a lot of gaps there, so Tony's taking a bit of risk if he takes this shot. He does have a substantial lead, and so far Tim hasn't put any pressure on Tony. But the 6 looks close. Maybe he could spin the 6 in with a little bit of outside soft stroke. But he doesn't have to end up with anything if he makes that, so I don't know if that's the right shot. I think if he makes the 6, he'd have a shot in the 14, but it's a little questionable. Looks to me like Tony's lining up a 5-ball combination, meaning 6, 12, 1, 11, 4. He might make the 6 off the 12, or 6, 13, 1, 11, 4. He might make the 6 off the 13 if he goes for this combination. This will be one for the highlight reel of Pascal's videos. Should he make this shot? If I had a gun to my head, I couldn't take this shot. Even if it's lined up, there's just too many gaps. I just don't like it. Yeah. If Del were here, he'd say bank it, but yeah, I'm with Steve's analysis there. If the 6 went, he would have shot it already. But the 5-14 I would play before I would play the 5-ball combination, meaning 6, 13, 1, 11, 4 combination. I'd play the 5-14 combination all day long.
6 carom.
The 6 carom's not awful. Yeah, the 9 looks like it's eclipsing way too much of the 6 for it to go, so he can't even sort of swerve into the position that he needs to hit the 6. People talk about throwing balls, but I like... okay, so Tony's just going to play a stop shot, freeze him on the balls. 4-ball didn't hit a rail, though. And Tim gets back to the table. Well, keeping it interesting, guys. It would have been more interesting had he gone for that combination. I would have liked to see if it had gone, but playing the smart shot here, playing safety play instead. Tim's looking at the 8, 12, 13 combination. I believe if that was on, Tony could have played it the previous shot. I don't think Tony disturbed the 3 at all to make that more on, or the 8. I have to agree with you, Steve. Tim has to be respected at this point. He's taken out a lot of great players in straight pool league, and quite capable of beating Tony Robles with this handicap, maybe even without. If Tim plays his good game and Tony plays his bad game, I would actually favor Tim in this match. But Tony's playing his good game, so Tim's got his hands full. But Tim still could win with his good game if he gets a couple rolls and plays smart and controls the table like he is. I don't know if you saw the 6-ball he made earlier, but that was some cut. His cue was frozen on the rail, and he cut it in. Probably the best shot I've seen so far in the straight pool league playoffs as to date. What Tim may have been checking is the 3-8 combination up table, but I do believe the 9's in the way, so I don't think that's an option. And I think Tim played a great safety there. He kept Tony away from the stack, so he can't just clip off the stack and go back into it. And he put Tony on the 2-ball, which is sort of in the middle of nowhere. I do think that if Tim didn't put the 11 in the position it was in, Tony would leave the cue ball table, leaving the 5-14 combination But he can't do that because the 11 is actually close to the pocket. I don't know if Tim played to put the 11 in front of the pocket, but if he did, it was a brilliant play. If I'm Tony, I may actually opt for the 15-point foul here. I don't know what Steve thinks about this, but clipping the 3 and trying to leave the cue ball where there's a combination shot in the 5-14, I think is not a possibility with the 11 where it is and the 14 where it is. If he just had to force a combination with the 5-14, I think that'd be an option. But with the 11 where it is, not an easy place for Tony to be. I don't see what Tony's doing here. Maybe Tony got him on that. If Tony got him on that, that was a super creative, great shot. And that could be the end of Tim, because Tim has to take 15 here if he can't play the same shot. And to get the cue ball frozen to the 2 with that nip draw stroke, I hear what you're saying, Steve. I just feel like Tim's pocketing too well. So if you leave the 11 or the 14, clipping the 3 and leaving them up table, I think you're doomed to possibly fail. I know, like in one pocket, you can bait someone with a tough shot, but the Tim might be able to get him on the right side of the table now, because the way the balls lay, be all right. I think that's what he did, and I think he executed it well. I think he might be able to clip the 4 and put the cue ball back where it is now, and that's probably the safest route. He does have a shot in the 6, and should Tony choose to shoot it, he has to believe he's going to make it. I don't know if there's a reward shooting the 6. I don't think he can get in trouble. As long as he can miss the side, he should have shape on the 8. Tony called something. I didn't hear what Tony called. You hear, Pascal? No. Well, whatever Tony shoots at here will be a great shot if he makes it. Let's see his stroke. Oh, the 9 ball went. Wow. I can't believe he just made that 9 ball actually scrape the ball and still went. It's a good roll for Tony and a great shot at the same time. He doesn't have to get into the stack, so he could shoot the 6 here. He doesn't have to worry about key balls and break shots, aside from solving his problems in the rack. Tony's playing for 10, and there's more than 10 balls on the table, so he's just got to run the balls out, and it might even be beneficial to go ahead and take out the break shots. Our programmer, streamer, compadre, Pascal, did win his division. Got a little bonus from Alaska here. And Tony's got the 8, the 10, the 6. He's got so many options. He's taking a little bit of time here. Pascal's showing his little trophy there. I thought he was looking to see if the right mount was inside it, but that wasn't the case. We got a cameo. Got a walk-in cameo here. And if he wants, he could clip these balls, but I think they both go, so I don't see him going into balls here. I would get rid of the 5 because there's no reason to leave a break shot, but that would be later. He's going to play the 12, the 9, or 12, 4, and 11. I might shoot the 4 first just to make sure I have angle on the 11. Tony just needs 6 balls. He's got 9 on the table. 4, 11 are conclusion. It means he'll need 7. He's got the 11 off, or he's got the 5 off the 11 if he wants. But I think he might be playing for the 10 ball here. Yeah, it looks like he's playing the 10 ball. So he wants to open him up a little more. He's checking to see if with the draw stroke if he's got the 4. Make no mistake about it. Tony's smelling blood now, and he's got all the balls out he needs. The 13 ball did go quite a bit up table, so he might leave that for a last ball. And I don't know. I hate to say this, but I think it's a sayonara for Tim. I hear what you're saying about that carom, but Tony actually shook his head and apologized to his opponent, so he was trying to play it clean. He got a little fortunate on that shot, but good shot regardless. He would have hit the other side of the pocket. He just clipped it on the way in instead of hitting the center of the pocket. Great shot by Tony. And, looks like he just got on the 15, and Tim might throw a towel or tackle him or something, but this looks like it's all over. Great match. Great work by Pascal. We will be here Monday, and I believe Steve can probably tell us what time he's playing. And it looks like it'll be Steve and Tony, so race to 150. Couple of house pros, couple champions playing. Do a quick thanks to Jacoby Custom Cues, obviously Amsterdam Billiards. This is your #1 pool destination in New York. Zala Botanicals, Kamui, Tips and Chalk, Narcoleptic Chalk Holders, Baltimore City Cues, my friends up there in Maryland. Let's Go Print NYC, and Nibs Nook for all your pet needs. Thanks so much to Pascal. Thanks to the Billiardists. And I'm signing off. I'll see you guys Monday, though. Please stay tuned, and have a great day, guys. Beat the snow if you're in the New York area. If you're somewhere else, I hope you have wonderful weather. Take care.
Try saying that 10 times in a row real fast. I get 6-6 ball, 6-6 ball, 6-6 ball.
I heard skip the beat. I had to go for everything at that point. Well, I mean, I couldn't play safe. Yeah, I'm like, I just got to run 70 balls, you know.
Thanks, Pascal.
It always takes me a while to get going. I don't know why. The thing is, when I'm playing the other time, they were set, right? It took me a while to go, but once the game's still going, then I can really play well.
I know, because I remember the first time we played, you ran like quick nights.
Yeah, so
It was so good.
Right.
And then you ran more after that.
Right, a couple of so it's like, against you and Steve, like, I always tend to miss a bit at the beginning or get a pound wrong. Like, first of all, think your heart was beating. Let me see. I think because I need to figure out how to begin.
Yeah, start quicker. Yeah, that's what puts a lot of pressure on people. Like you had the first shot of this set. Had you run 20, 25, whatever? Now you're going to 70. Now I'm giving you 75. That's huge. That's huge. That's big.
So it's like you miss it, and I thought, what? I thought I could maneuver a break. I saw the break ball. I thought, what? Get on it. No, it doesn't count. So that's the balls I could like. I need to watch back the video because I was trying to. There was two balls like close together here. Well, there was two balls here. I mean, Michael Drew's contra, and there was a ball. And I thought the only way to get on these two was a ball that was here. I thought it wouldn't go something like this or something. I thought, right. The only way to get this one. And then I left it heavily to come, and then I left it here too far. Yeah. And at that point, I tried to play one here, and I kind of short.
Yeah,
So I'm like,
I had the 14 that was here.
yeah. So I'm like, don't want to play here because then I don't know where the cue was going. But if I can put this one here and come up to here, I'm good. But I left it like here, and I just couldn't see it. So I'm like, if I got, I mean, so I need to work out if there was a better way. And that's where I'm.
No, just because you got out of position doesn't mean you shot. See what I said years ago? Remember when my dad would play for 17 years, I'm making shots for him.
Another round.
For 2.5
Let's play right here, okay?
And when I was running straight, I'm pretty much self-taught. When I was teaching myself straight, if I had a shot like that come up, where I didn't get exactly the way I wanted to, I didn't care about anything else. I would shoot that shot for 10 hours in a row if it was required to get there every single time. And people think that that's a waste of time. It's not a waste of time. Let me tell you why. Because if you learn how to shoot this ball to come out exactly there, you're going to be able to do the same thing when the shot is here. It's here to come out there. If the ball's here, it's here to come out there. If the ball's here, it's here to come out there. It's here to come out there. So when you're mastering one shot, you're mastering 100,000. If you like this, if you shoot this shot 10,000 times, you're not only making it, you go straight back and forth every single time. Guess what? Same shot.